incorporated his business, poured off a small team, and launched Apretaste. I did pronounce that correct, right?
Apretaste.
Apretaste?
Perfect.
Apretaste.
Yeah.
Yeah. A platform to provide free internet in Cuba. In his nonprofit, Salvi is responsible for mapping the marketing strategy and finding growth opportunities. He also creates graphic interfaces, ooh, gooey guy, and does copywriting. Salvi loves traveling and strives not to be the worst pool player in the world.
That's right.
So no further ado, here's Salvi in Apretaste.
Thank you. All right. For one weird reason, my device is not working, so let me really quick configure it. All right, very cool. So, who uses Facebook and Twitter daily basis? Like every single day, just raise your hand. Come on, Facebook, Twitter, everybody, we had a good crowd on that. So what about Google Maps? If you want to drive to New York, who prefers going to Google Maps instead of going and buying a physical map? Yeah, most of you don't even think on buying a physical map, right? It's like, why? And let's see, what about like doing payments? Who made payments online? If you had to pay your credit card, right, you pay it online instead of sending a check. Yeah, same thing, most of us. Really quick. And so the things that make us an individual is the way we spend money, the way we travel, and the way we socialize. At least that's my point of view, and I think that we have to agree with me that we have moved the things that makes us great as a person, we have moved a little bit to the internet world. We use internet really heavily for everything we do in this country, and that is beautiful. We earned that with many years of hard working and creating new technologies, growing awareness about how important it is, and businesses sending people online. So we earned that, and we're the most connected country in the world. We're so connected that we are 2 or 3 times more connected than the second most connected country in the whole world. So sometimes because we have so much connection and we use this internet so heavily, we rely so much on the internet, we do not recognize that we are really privileged. That all countries in the world, it is a privilege for them to go online. They don't really have the rights, the mediums, or sometimes they don't even know like how that can help their life. So, do you imagine not having internet at all? Like getting to your house, opening your door, sitting at a computer, to realize that you cannot go online? So what would you do if you sit in your computer and you cannot go online? And that's an actual question. Somebody who answered that. What would you do if you sit in your computer and you have no internet access? So every time I ask that question, people here in America, they usually say, I call Comcast, or I call AT&T, or I call whatever, insert name of provider here. But I'm Cuban, and I had done the same question in Cuba, a little bit differently, and what people say is like, why would I have internet on my computer? Are you crazy? Why would I sit on my computer and have internet? It is so natural for us that we don't realize, it's just natural. It comes, it's like opening your room and have your bedroom there, that's natural. But it's not natural for all people in the world. So people in the world do not understand sometimes how important is internet in our life, how much the internet can change the way we perceive life. And this talk is not going to be about the internet or about Cuba or about the thousands or millions of people in the world who have no internet at all. I want to make this talk about free open software, about collaboration, and about how can we use technology to make a worldwide impact. How can we use the technology to make everybody be connected, make everybody share, and everybody grow as an individual, and how can we make society move forward? But in order to talk about that, I would like putting Cuba as an example, and the reason why, because I'm Cuban, and I think Cuba shares a unique situation that most of you will be really interested in learning, and it's a perfect example for the work we're doing. Without continuing that, let me talk about me a little bit more, really quick. Let me introduce myself. My name is Salvi Pascual. I'm Cuban. Right now I'm a university professor. I teach in a university. I'm really happy about it. Before I used to be a programmer. I've been programming for like 10 years at least. And I get a little bit disappointed with the way the industry of programming is working right now. And I think that they are only focused on making more money. And sadly, they are putting the freedom and the interest of the user into a stake. So I used to be a CTO in a company at Miami. And we're always not about how can we help our users, but how can we make more profit. And there is nothing wrong with money, and I love money. You can give me money if you want. Is that I believe that we had to do something, that technology had to be used not only to make a lot of money, but also to create the kind of change that it can help people taking more control on their life. So I broke with that, and I started Apretaste. And I am really happy with the work I'm doing because I think it's impacting the life of people who couldn't access the internet before. And I'll be talking a little bit more about Apretaste later on. But I am very happy with the way it's working because I feel like I'm honestly doing something that it makes the change. And I want to leave something behind. And this is all about this conference, will be like how to make things that leave something behind, a change helping other people's life. So, talking a little bit about Cuba, there are 3 ways to access the internet in Cuba right now, at least 3 main ways. The first way, and this may be mind-blowing, is by not being Cuban. So if you're not Cuban, if you are a foreigner that is working or studying in Cuba, you can go straight to the government and you request an internet access, like you do here with Comcast or AT&T. And they give you access to 120 hours of internet, and you have to pay around $60 American. If you go over that 120 hours, so you have to pay $5 per hour. That access is limited, it's slow because it's dial-up. Yeah, still dial-up, I know. We still have dial-up. And it's linked to one phone number. So you can have your phone line and you only can link that internet account to your phone line. It's really reduced, but a lot of people have it that way. Because if you are a foreigner, and let's say you're studying in Cuba, you want to make a little bit more of cash, so you just resell it to somebody. Now, getting access that way, it is not legal. If things go wrong, you can get a fine, like really, really bad situation that it rarely happens, you can even go to prison. But that's the way most people in Cuba right now have internet, by buying it from a reseller, from somebody who can get it from the government and buy it from them. Now, the second way is if you work in a research and the research that is an interest from the government, or you work in a company that partnership with somebody abroad and they have to give you internet for any reason, so you have that access. That one is really censored. They only let you go to the place they want you to go, and it's usually limited. An instance, when I was a student, I used to study in a really important university in Cuba, actually one of the most important technology universities in Cuba, and I had 10 megabytes of internet per month. So the way I made it last, I removed all JavaScript, all CSS, all weird objects, and I only get the HTML plain code. That way I could make 10 megabytes last the whole month. It wasn't even possible. Sometimes I needed a little bit extra. So I accessed these professors who were gods because they had 100 megs per month. So they can drop me a few megs, if I need it. So who of us, including me right now, can survive with 100 megs of internet? Man, I just like Facebooking outside, I was spend probably 100 megs of internet. So the way is so reduced, is so controlled. So you focus on whatever your labor is, and you don't go outside of that. So the third way you can get access to the internet is by going to cyber cafe or a Wi-Fi hotspot. You have to pay for it. Right now it costs $2 American per hour. That is unpayable for most of Cubans, counting that the average Cuban salary is 20 to 30 American dollars a month. So $2 per hour is even expensive for me here in America. You can go, it's a little bit faster than the dial-up connection, but it's not like super fast either. You cannot stream any video, any media. But that way, people can at least pay $2 and go to Facebook, chat with the family, but still limited. Now, there have been, like, probably you wonder, like, why is it happening like that? Well, we cannot just throw a little bit of routers and a little bit of satellites and we make internet for everybody in Cuba. Well, there have been a lot of big intents from big corporations in all the world trying to do so. It is not really that expensive. Even the physical shape of Cuba, I don't know if you've seen, is really large and tight, so it's really easy to set up routers through the whole island without conflicting each other. It's really easy to make it. The last most important attempt, I believe, it was Google. They went to Cuba and they wanted to give basically free internet to everybody, free of cost for the government, free of cost for the people, by using the new balloon technology, the fancy balloons they have all around the place. I don't know if you guys saw it, but it's really cool. It's a balloon that it floats, it have a router, and then I think it have a 10 kilometers radio. So it connects one to the other, and they know how to move, so they're always in range. So that way they can cover huge distances really fast. So they were saying that they were giving free internet to Cuba that way, and the government said no. Right now, what we have is a political reason why we don't have internet. So it is really hard for people to get informed, for people to do things that we do every day here, like checking the weather, checking Wikipedia, checking Google Maps. But there is one way that people in Cuba can connect, and it's approved by the government, and it's really cheap. Actually, most of Cubans that are online today, it is doing in this way. And that way is email. So email in Cuba, if you want to have an email account, I'm saying email, but sending and receiving emails, you can go to an office in the government, and then you can buy an email account. And you have to pay like $1 American per megabyte, but you can send a whole bunch of emails with 1 megabyte unless you include images, right? So it is easy. I mean, it's affordable. So you can go to an office in the government, you can purchase it, and then you will have email on your phone, on your computer. But you can only have access to email. Everything else is censored. So you cannot go to Wikipedia or Facebook. You can only send and receive emails. So all that situation came up to this. 23 out of 100 people in Cuba are estimated to have access to email only, where only 3 out of 100 are estimated to have internet like you and I, maybe a little bit slower sensor, but it can go to places. And I want to represent this information in another way that it may be easier for everybody to understand what's the real deal. Green area are the people who can access email only. It's an estimated of 2,600,000. Red area are the people who can go online. Now, the gray part, forget about it. They may not even have a computer. Those are the people who cannot connect, who cannot do, they don't have the right to be online. So a few years ago, actually like 3 years ago, I looking at this information, this number were way off 3 years ago, and I thought like, man, I'm a professor, I do cool things. You know, I teach students how to do cool things, and I'm also a programmer, so I do cool things myself. And how can I use technology I know, to make these guys, who at least are connected, access to the internet? How can I send more information? How can I use the technology I know to try to improve their life, give them content that it may help them understanding the world, how the world is doing, and improving their life and their community? So how can I use technology to help them being better entrepreneurs, have more data to count on their life? And the solution came up to me, and I know it sounds crazy, but it's working. I've been doing it for 3 years. Why can't we send internet through email? So this is the best solution we found so far. You send an email to our server. In the subject line, you put whatever service you want to access. And we send an email back to you with all the content. So email, it is fast. Email is legal in Cuba. I didn't say it, but satellites are not legal in Cuba. Satellites are completely illegal and many other ways of communication. So email is legal in Cuba and it's legal here in America. Email is fast, sort of. And email is really inexpensive. So email is a perfect platform to do so. And the way it works, as I said, and I want to do a little example here, because this is my personal email folder, right? This is my personal email in Gmail. And now I click compose if it opens. So I send an email to apretaste@gmail.com. In the subject line, let's say that we want to access to Wikipedia. So I put Wikipedia. So what do you guys want to search? Open source? Any other suggestion? What is it? Yeah, I would put something that is in Spanish, probably open source. You know, because it is for Cuba, so we have configured for Spanish, so probably Crocmail. Don't have any entry.
Richard Stallman.
Oh, Richard Stallman. Okay, that one will work. Richard Stallman, right? And we send the email. And now we have to wait. It should be less than 1 minute. It all depends on your provider. In our part, it's really fast. And our network, which is slow today. But while we're waiting for the email, let me keep talking about this. So when the email comes, you'll see like information from Wikipedia straight from the source. It's real time. That means that if Richard Stallman yesterday updated his page in Wikipedia and put something like Fossetcon, I spoke in Fossetcon, so you will see here today, which is really good because you're connecting people to real life access. Most of you know, or maybe some of you know, that in Cuba there is a distribution network by flash memories. People just grab a flash memory, they pass it around with information, and sometimes people had the whole Wikipedia in one flash memory. And that is great. That is a great way to share information. But this is an up-to-date way. That flash memory may not be as updated that is accessing to the real internet. Let me see if I get the email. So I can go from there. Oh wow, that's amazing. Server error. It didn't even send. I should be connected. I should be connected. Oh, that's funny. I'm talking about internet, you know. I'm not connected. Okay. Okay, we had technical difficulties. I never have said that before. It's awesome. What are you doing? Technically, I'm connected. Maybe what's the password? What? Can you do it? So, while she's doing it, I don't want you guys to fall asleep. I know it's early. Most of you guys were drinking yesterday. Yeah. So, while she's doing it, right now we're offering a version of Craigslist. And think about how important is Craigslist for you. If you want to buy the new iPhone, I know you guys don't want to buy a new iPhone probably, but if you want to buy it, you buy it from Craigslist. It's cheaper, right? If you want to know, and this is more important than buying and selling, if you want to know what are the actual prices in the market, you go to Craigslist. So that's a huge tool for people who wants to understand how the market works. You cannot do that kind of research in Cuba right now, because there is not a tool like that I can provide that type of research for the Cubans who cannot access the internet. So we have a version of Craigslist having thousands and thousands of ads. People post something that is selling, people grab something that other people are selling. We have Wikipedia, which I'm trying to show really hard. We have translation. Think how important is translation for your life. What would you do if you had no internet? You had to go to translator? You pay a whole bunch of money? What's that? No. What is it?
There's a software package that will do translation between like different languages that you can load all local with language files.
That's cool.
You got a response.
Yay! So we have Richard Stallman. Richard Stallman's in the house. Oh, I didn't say that either. That's cool. I didn't have said that either before. All right, so this richest town man, it comes straight from Wikipedia. It has his picture. It has his name, like everything in Spanish, of course. But a whole bunch of information about himself, about his work. And as you can see, it's a whole bunch of information. And that is beautiful for people who have no access to anything because what happens if you want to do a homework and you have no access to Wikipedia? Come on. There are people in this room who had to do a homework without Wikipedia. Yeah. You got to go to the library, right?
Yeah, you went to the library.
Yeah. So in Cuba, libraries are far. If you live in, far from the library, public transportation is hard to take. It's expensive. And it's just completely inconvenient and hard. So there are people who are using Wikipedia right now. We have numbers of people who are using Wikipedia and who are appreciating it and saying, like, you give me options to see things that I couldn't have seen before, either because the library is really far or because it's completely updated. Sorry, like not up to date. And I want you to look at something here. People ask, like, oh, well, you have links. What would happen if you click a link? It wouldn't be pointless sending people to internet at this point, right? So if you click a link, like they say Free Software Foundation here, it opens a new email so you can request content from email. And the beauty of that is like people can kind of browse the internet without having access to the web. They can browse by email. And going back to the point, so we have Store, which is like kind of a Craigslist. Maps. How important are Google Maps for you? So if you want to find a place, how to get to a place, and you had no Google Maps, you have to ask. There are options. People used to do it before, It's not like without internet we cannot survive. We had to go ask somebody, and it happened to me more than one time in Cuba, that I was trying to reach a place, and I asked one person, and that person said, oh yeah, you have to walk for 10 kilometers. I said, all right, let's walk. I asked the second place, and he was like, yeah, you have to walk for 12 kilometers. I was like, what? Going backwards? And it's because people do not have the exact measure of longitude, So Google Map, we don't appreciate this feature. We probably use it without appreciating it enough. But it gives us exact time we have to walk so we can measure exact time we have to spend on it and we can configure our life better. It gave us exact distance. So we know how much are we walking exactly. And it tells us how to get to a place. So we had that. People can access it. If they have email in their cell phones, they can do it on the spot. See how can they get to a place. And as you see, it responds really fast. So it will be on the spot. We had Wikipedia, which is encyclopedia, entertainment. We had jokes. Believe it or not, people like jokes. We placed the joke service, and we have so many people interested in reading one joke at 8 a.m. when they get to the office. It was really fun. The internet is not only the important things like measuring how much you walk, getting information. Internet is also about the silly stuff. Reading a joke, doing a Sudoku, so we also had Sudokus. So we are trying to cover that public as well. And translation, I said it, SMS by email, which we're lowering 50 or 90% of the price that it costs sending an SMS. We have a raffle, and we also had the weather channel. And the weather channel is also really important because how do you know if it's going to rain tomorrow or not? You go to weather.com. So in Cuba, the way you know if it's going to rain or not, you got to wait to 8 p.m. to the news, and they set it at 8 p.m. on the news. And if you miss that, you don't know. That's it. You got to ask a neighborhood, something like that. Where did I put my... Here. You have to ask a neighborhood, something like that. So now you guys see like what we're doing and how it's helping people. Let me talk to you a little bit about how we created this. What is the story behind, and how it came, how did it started. 3 years ago, I saw that I had the idea, right? Like we can send internet through email, and we created the Craigslist service. That was the first one. And by word of mouth, a lot of people came in and started using it. And that was fantastic. Like how much acceptance we were having in so little amount of time. In 1 month, in 3 months, we had like 3,000 users. And a spiral. People keep using it. And then we had this great event. We were invited to this great event. It was a hackathon to create solutions to improve connectivity in Cuba. We were invited, it was in Miami, and we won a prize in that hackathon by doing Wikipedia. And that hackathon gave us some cash that helped us expanding a little bit, but it also gave us a lot of publicity. Press talk about us. We were invited to the radio, and it was the first time that I feel that it was rewarding stuff. Like, not rewarding. I think it was rewarding when I see people coming in and using it, but I feel like I was getting, other people than I were saying that it was a good idea, if I can understand that. And that is a beautiful feeling, because when you do something new, usually you have a lot of pressure, people saying like, you're crazy. Franklin, probably happened with Franklin when he was doing the light bulb, you know? But he continued. And you have a lot of pressure of people saying that that's absurd, you can't do that, and you have few people who are actually pushing up. And now when we have all this press, people were saying that we were not that crazy, that we're doing something good, that we were helping people, and that motivated me and everyone with us to continue and go forward on it. And we started adding services little by little. So we were in the hackathon. That was the hackathon for the one I just mentioned. We went into 1-800 Online. It's a huge radio station in Miami. Radio Marti and Marti TV. We went to Spanish Side, one of the biggest Latin events in America. And Generación Y, it's a huge blog in Cuba. We had a lot of press in different media that they were really important. We were in 60 Minutes. And that kept us running, adding more and more and more services. And at the ending of 2014, we had this user growth. The red part are the number of users that access every month, and I don't know if you can read very well from there, but the last number is 22,000. Yeah, and the green part, and the green area are the people who are the number of emails we received. And it gets all the way to 70,000 emails. So right now, the number of users we have is 28,000, which I think is a really cool number, counting that we're giving services in a place that is completely disconnected, and people do not even understand how can they use internet. And then I had a bad time that I usually don't share a lot, but I'm talking here about it. I went to Cuba, and the government police stopped me, and they said that I was doing something completely illegal and wrong, and they kept me in jail for 4 months. It was a really nasty situation. And I still bad about talking, but I had to say it loud, right? So they stopped me for 4 months, and they didn't want me to go ahead with this. And it was a bad time. I didn't know what would happen to my life. Luckily, they released me. I'm here now. I cannot go back, sadly. It's my country and I love it. But it made me think, how bad things are. It's not something like they don't have it because it's expensive, or they don't have it because they cannot afford it, or because there's no technology or structural in Cuba to support it. It's like they don't have it because the government don't want them to have it. They have a greater force that is pulling people not to be connected. They are a greater force that is afraid of people having the basic freeze we have here in America. And that is really, really bad. And I had to fight for it. I cannot stop. I cannot quit. Because they deserve to be connections. They deserve to have, even Facebook, even if it is silly, even if it is to talk to the boyfriend and girlfriends, they deserve to have the chance to. So that's why I'm doing this too. because I think it's a noble cause that we had to support. They had to have more unbiased access to information. Anyways, let's keep that topic behind and let's move to whatever you're here for. Let's talk about the techie things, not super techie, but let's talk about the basement of Apretaste, how it was built. And I don't want to go really deep because I don't want the ones who are not completely techie here to fall asleep, but I'll give you a little bit of introduction, like what we're doing and how we're doing it. We had 3 big pillars. So the 3 big pillars is PHP. And let me say something, we selected all this software from the very beginning because we believed in collaboration. So we want to make things easy for the people who wants to. We have a lot of people who decide to work with us, and we want to make things easy for our collaborators. So that's why we selected all this infrastructure that I'm going to be talking about now. We have 3 big pillars, as I said. The first one is PHP. So why PHP? So PHP, some people love it, and some people hate it. There is no middle point. There is not like so, maybe, yeah, no. So the ones who hate PHP, don't hate me. The reason why we selected PHP, because PHP, it has a lot of community. It's a really strong language. It has been around for many, many years. They restructured everything, and now it's super fast in PHP 6, by the way, the ones who want to test it. It is, if you have a question in PHP, there are always dozens of people willing to help you online. It's a really easy language. It's a language that is really easy to learn, and it's really easy to get support. So we selected PHP. The second big pillar is GitHub. Who loves GitHub? Yeah, like, you know, there are like 5 or 10 more repos, like places where you can put your code, but nobody knows them. There's only GitHub. Well, maybe you know them. So GitHub is awesome, and GitHub allows to share our code. So other people can see how we're doing things, and other people can improve my code. That is beautiful, because I'm a good programmer, but I'm not perfect. So people have done changes that I really appreciate, and that comes to the third pillar. So the third pillar is GPL. And I know we all support like free or open software here, but in other places they look at me like, what? And the reason why is because people are afraid to using GPL. Yeah, people are afraid that somebody can copy your code and somebody can do changes and put in, I don't know, people are afraid to use GPL. But I'm saying for us, have worked perfectly, because when people see that we have a GPL backing us up, people jump to help. We have more people, like it's jumping just because of that reason. And we also have people that are more likely to post their own code online, and they take credit for it, and that's beautiful. And don't be afraid of using GPL in your project if your project is about collaboration. At least that's the experience I have. It helps so much having an environment creating an environment where everybody can post, they can fork, they can release, and at the very end, if somebody can copy what you're doing, they will. The only thing that stops people from reproducing your code is that you can offer something better than them, and they will not have they don't have the strength to push in the way you are pushing. That's the only thing in my understanding that can stop people from copying your code. That nobody can do your job better than you do it. So instead of closing your code, just try to do your job best you can. At least that's my philosophy. So, talking about collaboration, we come to this point when we had to say how we enable Apretaste to actually be a collaboration tool. So some of you use iPhone, right? Let's raise your hand. And probably the rest use Android, right? Yeah? Okay. So it doesn't matter what you use, even if you use Windows phone, they all have a tool that is very important, and it's the apps. Every single OS or OS, it has apps. Windows, Linux. The reason why is because allow more people to enhance your code. Right? Nobody will use Ubuntu if you cannot install like things like Eclipse, right? So we realized that, and we added apps for Apretaste as well. And we call it services. So right now, you can create a service, you can put it online really easily, and 28,000 people will be using it right away. You will be changing the life of 28,000 people who has no access to really basic things right now. Let me think a little bit about services. Let me talk a little bit about services. I'm not going to go deep into this, especially if you're not a programmer. So I'm going to go to the part you can understand easily. There are only 3 steps to create an Apretaste service. The first step is like creating an XML configuration file. Like any other, it tells you what's the name, who's the creator, and stuff like that. The second step is creating a PHP class that extends from Apretaste. In that class, you will put your own source code. Let's say if you want to do a service that connects to the internet and do something for you, so you put it in there. And the third, and then you create a template file if you want to display things to the user. And the third step is just packing everything into a zip file and upload it. And it's that easy. Right away, you will have thousands of people accessing to whatever you created. And this is the way the service, our architecture runs. Once, you guys remember the example of Wikipedia, right? So you send first an email, you first send an email. And as soon as we receive the email, so this is the thing that happened. As soon as we receive the email, a user send an email to Apretaste. Apretaste get the email, and using the subject line, they know what service will be called. So in case of Wikipedia, it will be called Wikipedia. So they load the code from Wikipedia. Then they run that code. And they give the result in HTML to Apretaste. And then Apretaste put that result into an email and send it to the user. So it's a really simple word load. And when you do a service, well, I don't know if you noticed, but it have a red border. So when you do a service, you only need to do this part. The rest is handled by Apretaste. And this have been the result of a few years of working to perfectionate it and make it easier for people who wants to collaborate. And let me tell you a secret. One of the reasons why I'm here talking in Fossetcon is because I really need people to collaborate. I really need people to help. This is one of my incentives. And I would not try to spam you, but if you're interested, we really welcome you. We really need you. We really need people to help us bringing internet to more people in the world. And an exercise that I want to do with you, and it will be really fast, is showing you how to create a service. Please don't fall asleep. All right? So if you go to a GitHub page, which is GitHub Apretaste /core, you will find a link to our services, which is here. These are all the services that Apretaste is running right now. And the reason why I post them, other because it's open, free software, is because you can go and check them and learn from the examples. So I had this called service name. Let me open Drive, will be easier. Well, it's slow, but. So this service name is a template that you can just download and reuse to do your own service. Okay. So I'm gonna click it, download. So I'm downloading the template. In the meanwhile, let me get in something that I need here. Okay. is downloaded. I go to my download folder. And this is what I'm looking for. The other day we're searching online, we found this awesome URL. When you click it, it takes you to the Spanish version of Medline. Any one of you have heard Medline? So Medline is a huge government effort here in America to collect medical information and to post diagnostics of well-known ills. Very cool. Background sound. So to post diagnostic of very well-known ills that help people to understanding if they have like headache, understanding how headache happens and how to cure it. There are millions of people using it. So many people access it that they translate it to Spanish, and we found a link to the Spanish version. So basically, if you go to here to Medline, you can post here, I put cancer. And you click buscar, which means search. And then it will give you, like it will explain what cancer is, how we can fight cancer, and it will give you resources to understand better what is it. And cancer is a really well-known one, but I have searched very deep stuff and it finds it. So let's say that we want to put that service in Apretaste. And this is what I want to do with you. It's really easy. Don't get scared. Did I open this? Oh man. All right. I'm trying to open my download folder where the service should be. This is slow. It crashed. All right, here it is. Downloads. So I have my template here. I have to uncompress it. Where is it? What? Extract. And I would call it doctor. I think it's a great name for a service like that. Doctor actually means doctor in Spanish. So it's a word that works for Spanish and English. And then I'm going to open my service file and my template file with Sublime. I should have opened this before coming. I thought it would be faster. And then service with Sublime. And I'm also going to do my template. So as you see, this brings a nice template for every service you want to create. And in here, we have to change this to service name, which will be doctor as well. And we have to change this by our description, which I do a really quick description. And the reason why I'm doing it in Spanish is because this will work when we finish, and I will have it online from now. So when I leave this place today, this will be useful for 28,000 people, what I'm doing here. Yeah, we have to save time. And in here, you change the word service name again. You put doctor again, because it's the name of my service. And I put doctor again here. This is a very basic template that, as you can see, even if you don't do Spanish, it's really easy to change. And I save it. That's it. That's my configuration file. I come to my service.php. And now, Apretaste comes with the DOM crawler, Symfony DOM crawler library, which basically is an awesome library to crawl. So if you have not used it, it's really easy. And let's say that you want to access Stack Overflow and you want to get the first 10 results. So you can get information from the web using PHP in the same way you would do jQuery. It's extremely easy to use. And that's why I included it by default with my example. So if you want to use it, you only have to uncomment here. That would include your client library. And then you have to uncomment here. And that will create a new instance of your library. And then you have to change here this, of course, but the URL. I put Google because everybody put Google. And my URL is here. What is it? Here. Don't worry, I'm finishing. And I changed this to my URL, and then I had to remove this. And this is the result. I put it title. Alright, so I had my Medi Plus here. What I'm going to do, don't worry, I'm finishing the ones who like fall asleep. So the thing that I'm going to do right now, I'm going to get the ID of this node, and it is here, my health. Oh man, I lost it. This one here, right? I copy this ID. Yeah, that class, thank you. Thank you. You have karma points. So I copy the class and I'm gonna put here body. These are variable names, right? These are just names that we're passing to the template. So we create an array here and we're passing this to the template. So what I'm going to do result. I'll say on 0, because that will be the first and only result. And oh yeah, well it's here actually. I paste it here. So it's here when you get when you paste your class here. So you get your result by getting the element in the class, and then you had to pass your result on 0 here. And the title will be the same thing that they submitted, which it comes in your request. So see, when Apretaste opening this file, is accessing this main function here, and that main function is passing an object request. That object request will have details about the request you made. So part of the details of the request will be the query you did. What did you search, right? So we create the request here, and we pass it here. Request, and then query. That will give us the query the user search, and then and then we had to pass the query here as well. Oh, my bad, I took the wrong code. I had to copy this here. I paste all this thing here, and here's my query. So we change that by my request query to all right, and I had to put here the subject that I want to send back to the user, the subject of the email. So is that result for, and then my query again, and then I'm calling my basic.tpl, which is this one here, and then I'm passing my response array. So how many people have followed me on this? Okay, good. Good, I was afraid that you guys falling asleep, so I feel better now with myself, thank you. All right, so here in my TPL, I'm passing two objects, two variables, my variable title and my variable body, and I don't really need this, it's part of the template. So title and body, right? So I have to call them. And the way I do it, I'll do an H1, and this is HTML code. Can you see it? It's HTML code, everybody should know it. So, or may know it. Title, and then inside paragraph here, I'll be passing my body. And this will be the easiest template ever because you only do it that. And let me say a little bit about the template. The template, the HTML, and we're also using Smarty. So Smarty is a library to create templates on PHP. It's really useful. It's really well known. And basically it allows you to do loops, if statements, anything you did inside the template. So I can pass an array and I can loop through it. I can pass a Boolean value, and I can do a condition based on it. It is really useful. So now I finished my service. I did my XML. I did my service. A little bit, I had to do, the most important thing, you had to put the name of the service here. So it will be doctor. Wow. Doctor, extend service. Then it called the main function. The main function will be called as soon as your service is called from the email. And then we create the library, we send the request, we get the result, and we create the array. And we send the array to the template. So that should be really easy. And in the template, just post in the title and the body. So hopefully nothing is wrong. I will call this here. And when I say hopefully, if you are a programmer, you know why. There's always a semicolon. It's like part of the culture. You leave a semicolon. You leave a line without semicolon, so it gives the error. So you compress it, and you say you want a zip file. And I'll call it doctor.zip. Create. I have my zip file here. I have my zip file here. I will copy. And then this is the fun part. I come to Apretaste, thestate.com, manage. Now hit enter, and it will load. And I go to deploy. And I see I choose file, and I get my zip file, and then I click add service, and it's really fast. It should be added, and I go to my services list, and if you search for it, here. So this is the service we just added to Apretaste. It's that easy. You only had to deploy it. So now, let's see if it actually works. I mean, it just uploaded well, but you never know. You click compose. And I will do apretaste@gmail.com. And doctor, what do you want to search? Cancer again?
No. Fibromyalgia.
What is it? Hangover. I like that one. Well, hangover in Spanish. Oh, wow, hangover. I don't think that's a medical diagnosis, It'd be like sleep and don't drink more beer. Sleep.
Lyme disease, L-Y-M-E? Yeah. Lyme disease.
I don't know if they have those.
You have an
names.
animal?
Trees and trees.
Oh.
Influenza cancer.
Flu. All right, so flu is catarro in Spanish, right? Because we're pulling from. All right. Let's hope that they have flu. Maybe flu is not that important. I know, I feel lucky today. So we had a search for the email, come back and forth. And while I'm searching, how hard it was for you? Like from 1 to 10, like who was in like less than 5? And who was more than 5? Like 10 means like super hard, I can't do it, yeah? And 1 means like, yeah, why not? How many people are like less than 5? All right, so how many people are more than 5? All right, it wasn't that bad. We had like a few hands. Come on. Yeah, me, it's a semicolon. It's probably what happened.